Greetings. Welcome to Calm, Clear Communication. I am Christopher Johnson with actually, this is a calm, clear conversation. I'm
Yes.
with Calm, Clear Communications. And with me today is none other than the Regina Carey. I know.
Good morning
Or good afternoon,
or good
or good
afternoon,
evening.
whenever. It doesn't matter. You're still going to get great energy, calm and clear, but yet very exciting.
Absolutely. Happy day, Gina. Regina. Oh, wait. What's that behind you?
We have to remember to be festive today. So this is my ho ho ho. We're just going to laugh and enjoy that. This is our reminder to keep it light. There's no stress about this. We met at a happy hour, for goodness sakes.
Wait, during a pandemic, a happy hour? What kind of... Okay, yes, actually, we did.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Samuel's virtual happy hour.
Cheers.
Because we were on Robbie's virtual happy hour, we were both from Michigan because we had to put in our name as well as our
That's right.
location. And I said,
Yes.
wow, another Michigan person. Huh.
Right. Right. And we might want to give a shout out to it because it was a very funny happy hour to go to. No more bad Zoom.
Absolutely. And let's see, we can do this.
Yeah. No more bad Zoom. You heard the rest of it there.
And
You're,
well, all right.
and here's
Uh,
the other thing. The minute I heard you speak, I think when whether or not you knew it at that time, because you haven't been doing this your whole life, one would think based on the way you sound, but we were all so taken aback by your voice. And everybody said, you've got to be doing voiceover. You must have your own studio, don't you? We all thought you were a musician I mean, but no,
Face for radio. Thank you.
that is not what we said.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're great.
So somebody's ears were burning.
Look at it. Don't you
It
feel like
is.
we have like our uncle is watching or something like Uncle Robbie's on.
Does this
We
mean we
got
have to behave?
no, it means the opposite of that. So let's get underway and talk about all our wonderful ideas and visions for the world.
Okay. So Regina Carey, what is your story? Where are you at in your career? You're a coach, but a coach of who and for what?
This is a very that question has thrown me off in spinning into the universe many a time during the pandemic. As a special education teacher, everything I everything I do, everything I am is about empowering people. And my whole career, it didn't matter whether those were tiny people or middle-sized people or older people. I have really gone cradle to grave with my work in neurodiversity. And my focus right now is working with women, with stressed out female professionals who need to slow down in order to speed up. When we entrepreneurs, creatives, go-getters, um, we think differently. And when we get going, it's hard to stop us. You know what, Christopher, my grandfather used to say, now this is my German grandfather. Kistner was my mother's maiden name. So this was my maternal grandfather. He used to say, you know what, old Reg, he called me old Reg. We Kistners get more done on accident than most people do on purpose. More
Okay.
done by accident than most people do on purpose. And I always love that because my life has always been somebody who's in motion. And I look, it even says that Queen of Action. I think that must come on for my StreamYard handle, but I'm all about taking action and helping people move forward. And that's really where my work begins and ends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's something that brings you pride and joy
Mm.
in what you've accomplished thus far?
I The thing that brings me pride and joy really is seeing the people with whom I work get to the other side of fear. I see people afraid to do the thing. We get them to do the thing and they survive. And you know how it is when you do. I mean, think of, I want to know about something that you've done that you've been afraid of. And when you got to the other side of it, what was your initial thought?
And see, Scott says it best, making a difference. And that is one of those things where we feel that we have made a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I know that I have done that. I know that my clients have done that. When you are working, when we work in a service industry, when it's not like I'm selling you a product, I can't give you and you say, "Oh, I'm so satisfied with that," you know? But what I know is when women especially begin to pay attention to their heart's desire, when they begin to open up and do their calling, then not only are they happier, they can think more clearly. It feels easy because they're doing what they love, but physically in their bodies, they're releasing constriction. And my big audacious goal, Christopher, is to knock heart disease out as the number one killer of women. And I believe when women start to live from their hearts, they live
Mhm.
longer. And they're women are healers. We're here to change the world, to help our children, to model what is possible for. We're leading other women. We do really great at pulling people up from behind us and say, "Go on, we've got you." You know. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
important to. Oh, there's our Tisha. Love it, love it, love her.
Absolutely. So, one of the things we were talking about before we started talking in front of people is, yes, um, the connections that we share and the difference makers that we are connected to.
Mhm. Yeah, you know, that is, I love that in the pandemic. It's in a face-to-face networking event, you may feel really surprised if you find out that somebody knows somebody else from, you know, the others. You're connected to so and so and they live in California, even though but this is we are making the connection so much faster over the last 2 years. And it's, if I know that you know Tisha Hammond, if I know that you're connected to Robbie Samuels, there's no doubt that I want to be in your circle. There's no doubt in my mind that you are a great human. That
Likewise.
didn't, yeah, that didn't used to be the case. You know, I took a few more steps, I think. But now it's like, you know, this person, fabulous. Come on, let's talk, let's do business together. I immediately have a trust factor. And we are fortunate.
Yes. And see, that
Mm-hmm.
trust, that's a requirement. That is like the floor of where things happen. So, one of the places where we work together is on Dorothy Wilhelm's.
And
Um, you know,
coffee
Dorothy is
chat. Yeah.
she is such a fun, energetic,
Oh my
amazing
gosh.
individual. And she is someone else that we met, or I met through Robbie's virtual happy hour, No More Bad Zoom.
Mhm.
And working with
That's
Dorothy, you and I produce her program, which is a lot of fun because there is that level of trust. I know that you'll handle these things and I'll handle those things. And together, what the audience sees is, well, just a wonderful, fun, engaging production. The
absolutely.
amount of hair I have, well, that, never mind.
But that too, it's like we have never met in person. When you produce a show, it's usually, we got to be at the location. We have to know the equipment. The fact that we do it seamlessly, we have fun doing it, and we might add, Dorothy is going to be turning 88 years old in January. And if you ever would have told me that one of my best friends was going to be the age of Dorothy Wilhelm, and an 80 something year young woman, I don't know that I would have said, how is that going to happen? You know, it's unbelievable how that evolved. And again, Dorothy came from No More Bad Zoom.
Exactly. And see, Dorothy is a wonderful example of uh, technology, community, and leadership
Yes.
because
Yeah.
her program,
Yeah.
well, it is a community. We have
Mhm.
regulars, there's a cooking segment, there is an inspirational segment. It is it's an appointment that people keep to be a part of. And she's out of the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
You and I are in Michigan, but folk join from all over the globe and they learn and they have fun.
Mhm. Durga Mata tunes in from London. Just yeah, all over the world. You're right.
Mhm.
Amazing. And I love that.
Technology and yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then, all right, so the leadership aspect, what are your thoughts on leadership?
Yeah. I think leadership has really evolved during this pandemic. And part of being a great leader, I believe, and this may sound a little, well, might sound a little strange, but it doesn't bother me. I think leaders know how to dance with their grief. I think leaders know how to move through the grief process and get to acceptance or get to the other side in order to get stuff done. Leaders, we don't grow moss. We don't sit very long in the soiled diapers. We get going. We recognize something needs to be changed and we move on it. And a lot of this has to do with the way that I grew up, though, Christopher, as well as transition through my career. Because growing up, I got to see my mother reinvent herself again and again. Went back to college and got her degree after she had my sister and my brother and I. So 3 kids, she went back to college, got her degree. Then she, you know, started working intensely, and she studied with some amazing people. I watched her through the illness and death of her brother and then her father. My mom was a widow at my age, and I saw her start her life over again. So constantly, she's a cancer survivor. She's a widow. She is an amazing woman, but learning how to start over again and again. And I did that in my career as I followed my husband through veterinary school. And I don't talk about him very much, but we talked about people who inspire us. All through November, I did every day a month of a role model, and I ended it with my husband. And he really has being with him through his career in veterinary medicine, I've had to reinvent what I'm doing every time we move, every time we had a child. I had a kid in each state and a kid for every degree. I said, no more degrees. But you see, leadership is about action. Leadership is about it's you do it with speed. To step up. It's like we have that fire in our bellies that says, yeah, let's do it. Stand up, speak up, write the book, do the thing.
So doing the thing, doing that dance with grief and moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like that definition a lot, because it sometimes can be easy to get mired down in the murky middle. Our thoughts, they can be overwhelming. I can never do this. I don't know how to do that. But by moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
making a difference and making a decision and being in motion. Yeah.
Yes, and language. I'm a big language person. I'm always listening to how people are talking about themselves, about their career, about what they can or can't do. And we're very good at saying, I can't do that, or I'm tired of this. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm asking, well, how can you then move forward? How can you simplify? How can you expand? How can you think in a different way? We get in our own ways a lot. But if we start to ask the question, how can I? How will I? How am I? Then if we're quiet, we can actually get those answers internally pretty quickly.
Coaches listen and leaders listen. Okay.
Radical listening. That's my new favorite term.
Radical listening.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, because it takes all right. Listening is not waiting to make a response. It is taking in that information. And yeah,
There we go.
perfect.
And being present.
Yeah.
Radical listening is really being right there instead of thinking what you're going to say next. One of the strategies that I use to help me with this radical listening is wiggling my toes. Have I ever told you that?
No.
It's a great way to get yourself right there, right now. Wiggle your toes. You can't be anywhere else when you wiggle your toes. Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true.
You know what? Yeah, that is. So, and you are one of the happiest people I know.
Oh, Christopher, thank you. You're going to make me cry. Thanks.
Well, all right. What is your avatar? What do you always have at hand? Just there you go.
And, I'm beginning to wonder if I'm the only one who owns this. It's old school plastic. You see that plastic? This is like from the 1970s, I'm sure. I have no reason to choose differently. People bring me joy. Being on here with you brings me joy. Whether it's virtually or in person. Good. I've got everybody wiggling their toes, Robbie says. But here's the thing. You know what? This is a choice. It's not that I wake up giggly and happy and motivated every single day. It's a choice. It is a moment to moment choice. And I truly believe a part of my health, my stamina, and my energy through the pandemic has been that moment to moment choice to be happy and to continue to move forward. And it is important for us to feel our emotions, though. I
Mhm.
mean, it's okay to feel sad, angry, blah, fill in the blank. Feel it, move through it, and get on.
Exactly. And yes, and you cannot rush any of these things.
No,
So, going back to your statement, dancing with grief,
yeah,
that dance will last as long as it does. Grief, like other emotions, you cannot
no,
rush it, you cannot hurry it along.
correct.
It takes the time and the space that it takes,
Hmm.
as do all our other emotions.
Well, and think of being, and you see, I grew up as the daughter of a drummer in a polka band. This was one of many hobbies that my father had. He was a polka band percussionist. He really only did play the drums. But the thing is, I grew up in under the tent of the German polka dances. And think of it like this. We dance hard, we get hot, sweaty, we get tired, we get exhausted. You sit down, you drink a beer, you talk to your friends and eat some good, the tent food that we, like the hot chicken sandwiches and the Balrix potato chips. That's so Midwest, isn't it? So you take a pause, and then what do? Your favorite song comes on, you get up and you dance again. This is how we move through life. We have to do the work and then take a rest and then get back out and keep dancing.
Mm.
And we might feel sad, and yes, we dance anyway. We might feel angry, we dance anyway. And the more that we engage in life, that the happier and healthier we're going to be.
You know what? Yeah. Being engaged in life is really what makes life worthwhile.
Yes.
So, dancing, all right. Our friend Robbie is a tremendous chair dancer. I don't have those skills. But what music is getting you dancing now? What music do you turn to? Now, we're in Michigan, so there's no pressure for this to be, like Michigan based. But
I'm still a sucker for a great polka dance. I really
okay.
am, because my dad played all of them. My music is so eclectic, Christopher. I love all of it. Part of that is because my husband is a jazz musician, so he's a jazz pianist and studied that at Duke University. So I listen and I appreciate jazz very much. I'm actually classically trained on the piano, so I love classical music too. That is something I did from, 8 years into high school, 8 years old into high school. And, but I will tell you this, I love Sophie Tucker. I was a fan of Purple Hat before it even became a thing. I knew it was going to be a great song. I don't know if you're familiar, but if anyone is out there listening, I am in the market for a Sophie Tucker Purple Hat. I want to have a purple hat and cheetah pants. Um, Wepa is my theme song from Gloria Stefan. That means go for it. So Wepa is one of my rev up songs. In fact, I was listening to that right before I came on with you. It's all over the place. I love island music. I love Pitbull, Sophie Tucker, Gloria Stefan, classical jazz. Look, here's the real thing. If I can dance to it or create to it, it's my kind of music.
And see, yeah, that is perfect. Now,
Thanks.
my musical taste, yes, all over the map. When my wife and I married, we merged our music collections. We added my 1,000 CDs to her five. And
I love it. I love it. Oh,
so, though, and it spans everything, the uh, The collection of those 1005 CDs include the Monkees, Johnny Cash, um, jazz tunes, Count Basie and his orchestra,
Oh,
Fletcher Henderson, and of course, a ton of Motown.
yeah.
You can't go wrong with Motown.
Can't go wrong with Motown. No way. No way.
So, all right, musically, it sounds like we have a wide a range of things that we enjoy and that we share, and that's as it should be, because music is meant to be shared and enjoyed.
Yeah.
What are you reading now? What book would you recommend as a leader, as a coach, as a curious individual? What should I read?
Well, let me tell you this about that. Many of my books, thank God for Audible.
Hmm.
I grew up. I believe that I am dyslexic, and that is a late stage diagnosis after learning. You'd think, being a special education teacher, I would have known that a long time ago. So books just were something I didn't do. I couldn't sit still, Christopher, to read a book because I'd fall asleep or I'd get really sluggish, or after a while, I'd read pages and not remember what I read. So many of my books now I've listened to on Audible. But as far as leadership goes, to be able to be a great leader, you have to know yourself. And I think one of the greatest books that made me question everything is Michael Singer's Untethered Soul. This is a beautiful book. And it's one of those books that you can read over and over again, bits and parts, and a way to think about who you are. I read this book before the pandemic, and it's all about, if things fell away, who would you be? Who are you without all of the attachments? And I think for many people in this next phase living, when we lose something, when we go through, because everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. And the more that we embrace that and learn who we are without that thing, who we are without that job, who we are without that person, then knowing thyself is, I think, one of the best ways to be a great leader. And because
Yeah.
I was an educator for so long, I had to learn what it meant to be in sales, to be selling really myself. And so The Greatest Salesman in the World, you see I've got it clipped. And this Og Mandino book is not only a read, it's a practice.
Hmm.
Because the unique thing about this very tiny little book is it will actually take me almost a year to read, because every segment in it, you spend 30 days with that one chapter, with that one scroll. So if you're curious or you want to ask me any questions about that, check this out, because doing the practice makes it so powerful. So that's what I'll say about that. What are you
Okay.
reading, by the way?
That's always a tough question because I have a
6 books
number of books. Well, yeah. And
that
so,
you're reading.
all
I get it. I know. I get it. What's your favorite out of the 6 you're reading?
right.
How about that?
Well, I'm rereading Flow.
Oh, yes, we were going to talk about that. Love Flow.
Um, and it was interesting. I heard someone refer to him recently, and this was someone who knew him. They said, Mike Mihan Chicks Me High. I was like, I have never heard him called Mike,
Me either.
but um, he
Mm.
passed recently, and we talked about that. And Flow it is a really great book, and that's why I wanted to reread it,
Mm-hmm.
because it talks
Mm-hmm.
about being immersed in something and being unaware of the passage of time, unaware of these external things, and
Mm-hmm.
finding that state. And we can find that state in a variety of things. Um, Another book I would recommend is David Epstein's Range. And it really looks at what the difference is between someone who specializes in something and someone who takes on a wide range of things, a generalist versus a specialist.
Mm.
And generalists come out ahead. Uh,
Whew. Well, that's good to know, isn't it? Okay. I'm going to write that one down. Range.
yes,
Good.
yeah,
Yeah.
highly recommended. And
Okay.
of course, there are always another, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 books on my list. Some of
Yeah.
them get influenced by people who say, "Oh, you should read this," and I put it on the list. And others are, it's like, huh, I've heard about, NPR has a service, the Book of the Day, and they have a podcast about it now. So I listen to
Oh,
that, and my reading list is inexhaustible.
yeah.
Uh,
It's kind of cool to get to that, it's for somebody like me who didn't used to enjoy reading. I've got all the things going. Like I can't read enough to satiate my thirst for knowledge right now. I love being at that point in my life. I couldn't say that even 10 years ago.
and all right, I will share a little bit. So both of my parents were teachers. So teachers will always have a huge outsized place in my heart.
Mhm.
They did not enjoy reading, but they knew the value, they knew the importance of books in the home.
Mhm.
So they encouraged their children to read. As teachers, and they were elementary school teachers, they would remember those scholastic or,
Oh, sure.
yes, they would.
Mhm. Yeah,
The first time they would say,
right,
"Hey,
right.
order as many books as you want." They didn't make that mistake again.
Oh, because
I
you
would,
probably,
it's
yeah.
like, this one, this one, this one. Okay, the next one, you can pick one.
Yeah.
So they put me on a book budget because of my
Well,
insatiable, unquenchable curiosity and desire to read.
I love that.
And they demonstrated, I would see them reading around the house. I would see
Mm.
them reading the newspaper. They would have me look up things in the encyclopedia because they wanted me to see them reading so that I would be encouraged to read.
Good.
And it wasn't until, it wasn't until I was an adult when they said, yeah, reading was not my favorite. Now I enjoy it. Now they, well, they both passed, but they enjoyed reading as adults because they found stories that compelled them, that
Mm.
interested them. So now for my children, yeah, they see me reading all the time. I share what I'm reading and we talk about it, and it lends itself to fun or meaningful family discussions.
That's great. Good for you.
So, all right,
Mhm.
we've covered music, what you're reading, leadership. What is next for you? What does 2022 have in store? What is your big, hairy, audacious goal?
Ah, well, I told you my big, hairy, audacious goal was to knock heart disease out. I know that's a big one. In the work that I've done, and much of my work prior to hanging my shingle out 5 years ago was with universities. I've worked with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill when I was working on my master's at the School of Education. I worked with the University of Wisconsin for the athletic department, working with students with invisible disabilities. Loved. That was one of my all-time favorite jobs. That was when Steve was in vet school. And then the Michigan State University, working with them as someone who was in the resource center for persons with disabilities, as well as the School of Education. But across all that work, my point here is I love partnerships, and I love working with other organizations and seeing the power that can come when you have funding from one source and and the action-oriented people in the other source, and the trainers in another source. There's such power in partnerships, and that's really what my focus is in 2022. Partnering not only with healthcare systems and the American Heart Association to educate and bring some of my methodologies to the workplace, to people's lives as they live and breathe, not something extra that they have to do. I would like to make the work that I'm doing a part of how people move through their day. And then a lot of the great work that is happening is also happening in companies. And so people are bringing me on to be the passion instigator and the impact coach in their companies, because it's having a great effect on people's motivation, on their happiness, and ultimately on the productivity and effectiveness of their work. And again, I go back to the fact that when we can take women in the workplace who can be in leadership roles, we need to help them let go of some things in order to move forward. And that's where I come in. So yeah, partnerships, that's the
Okay.
big goal this year.
And for partnerships, how should people contact you? I'm
Yeah,
guessing
LinkedIn
LinkedIn.
is my favorite. Yes. So you reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn. Love having conversations. I make an effort to give the people on LinkedIn my number one priority for face-to-face, this kind of getting to know one another. So please, yes, if you have interest, questions, this is the best place to find me. And
Okay,
any place else at Coach Me Carey.
perfect. And when you reach out to connect or partner with Gina via LinkedIn, personalize that connection. Let her know that you saw this program.
Yeah,
Let her know some takeaway item that you were going to implement in your own life.
I love
So,
that.
thank you very much, my friend. It is always a pleasure to spend time with you.
Thank you. This was an honor. And I love having conversations with people I love. So
Me too.
great. Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
All right.